When Duic's trial commenced 2 years ago, few Cambodians knew much about the International Court, which has 3 Cambodian and 2 foreign judges. 2/3 of today's Cambodians weren't even born when the Khmer Rouge were in power. The regime's kingpins are either elderly or long dead, including the reclusive leader Pol Pot. Their genocidal legacy, 2 million deaths, is memorialized in modest museums visited by Cambodian and foreign tourists. These include Tul Sleng, the high school Duic supervised when it was converted into a prison, where some 15,000 people died. Several non-government organizations and the court itself launched campaigns to educate the Cambodian public about the legal proceedings. Tens of thousands of citizens and school kids from around the country have been bussed in on field trips.
Hello and welcome to the 22nd program in our series, Duic on Trial.
And for several months, as many as 2 million Cambodians tuned into a weekly TV show about the Duic trial.
Now we're going to see a selection of evidence given to the court about some of the crimes with which Duic has been charged.
Like the court, the TV series was funded by international donors.
Do you think the trial has gone well? The process has been pretty impressive. I've supported it because I was one of the victims. I was imprisoned under the regime.
The Khmer Rouge regime fell 3 decades ago, but the tribunal was slowed, first by Cold War politics and then negotiations with the reluctant Cambodian government, some of whose leaders were young Khmer Rouge lieutenants, although none will stand trial. Still, Chum Sirat, who helped start a group called the Victims Association, says the court sends an important message.
When you commit a crime, there will be people who try to to take you into account. This is one of the lessons that young generation can learn.
Until recently, young Cambodians were never formally taught Khmer Rouge history. Yuk Chang, himself a killing field survivor, has worked to change that.
This is the textbook for grade 9 and 12.
He's director of the Cambodia Documentation Center, which has published a textbook that's now in the hands of 1 million Cambodian students.
Start from the creation of the Khmer Rouge movement all the way to the fall of the Khmer Rouge in 1979.
Most kids growing up in this country have never learned about it.
They never learned about this, but they heard about this.
Yuk Chang hopes this knowledge and the publicity surrounding the court trials will finally help the country move on.
The court helped to put the past behind, and that give us the direction on where we turn next to the future. And the court put the past into perspective so that we can learn from it.
Even though most of Cambodia's 14 million people struggle more immediately with poverty and economic survival, the International Court is a critical building block for a sound democratic future, says Eric Stover, a California-based human rights scholar who has closely followed the court.
People will have basic needs and need to be attended to, but if you're going to have real progress, you also put in the infrastructure for democracy, infrastructure for the rule of law, infrastructure that will support human rights, because without that, you will always be in an uphill battle.
The court's next case will try 4 elderly defendants together and is expected to begin in 2012.